All right, guys, so we're going to kick it off. Welcome to the ins and outs of setting up private lessons webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us. Hopefully you'll learn a thing or two. So an email will be sent to you guys in the next few days with a recording of this webinar and as well with a few links to some knowledge-based articles that can be useful when setting up private lessons. Also, there will not be a question period at the end. However, we will go over a few frequently asked questions, so don't worry about that. And if even at the end you still have a few questions and the knowledge-based articles, you're still a little confused, feel free to hop on to contact our support team. We will gladly help you guys out with any of the questions that you have. My name is Tristan. I'm a customer care specialist here at Amilia. I've been here for over a year now, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys today and hopefully teach you a thing or two about private lessons. What we're going to cover today, we're going to start off with the staff and facility availabilities, then go over the parent and child facilities, the difference between the two, how to create a private lesson, how to buy a private lesson and what it looks like, how everybody is kept informed when a registration is done, and we're going to finish off with a few FAQs. Private lessons is a module that can be enabled in the App Store. So if under the Activities tab you don't see a private lessons sub-tab, that is because it has not been activated yet. So you can simply go to the Apps tab over here, search up private lessons, enable it free of charge. So don't worry about that. And facilities and staff that are needed for the configuration of private lessons are also a module that can be enabled through the App Store. So if you don't see them on the left, same thing, go into the App Store, search them up, and you can enable them. So before configuring your private lessons, it's important to set up staff and facility availabilities. How to set up staff availability? You can go into the Staff tab under Management. You will see a list of all of your staff members. If you click on one of them, this is the page you will see. And you can add availability by clicking on this blue button over here. And then you will be able to add availability for different days throughout the week from a specific time to another time. And you can also add date ranges. So for example, if somebody during the summer is available from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but then is going back to school in September, you can add that date range from September and so on with the updated schedule. You can also add additional time slots. If somebody's available from 9 to 12, but then could be available from 3 to 5, that is where you can add that availability. Staff members also have the option to download the mobile app and add their availability themselves. So they can go in availability calendar and they can enter in all of their availability and then edit it afterwards if they need to. Facility availability is quite similar. Under the Facilities tab, if you click on one of your facilities, you will see the opening hours of that facility, and you can select which days it is open from what time to what time. This is where it gets super interesting. When creating your private lesson, this is the pop-up that will appear where you can assign staff and facility to the private lesson. And essentially what the private lesson module is doing is it's taking the schedule, the availabilities from your staff and the availabilities from your facilities, and then finding mutual time slots where they would both be available, and then offering those time slots where it's available as a private lesson for your clients. So you can maximize all the resources that you have, whether it's facilities or staff. Parent versus child facility. So when linking a facility to a private lesson, you will have all of your facilities, and parent and child facilities will be offered as well. So the concept of a parent versus child facility, here is an aquatic center. In this case, it would be the parent facility, and inside the aquatic center, there are 3 pools, which are the child facilities of the aquatic center, which is the parent facilities. However, in each pool, there are 3 lanes, and each lane is a child facility of the pool, which is a parent facility. So what this means is that, for example, if a private lesson requires a pool to be done, that means you want to associate pool A, pool B, and pool C as a available facility for that private lesson. However, if it only requires 1 lane for that private lesson, it's important to add the lanes as eligible facilities and not the pool, because if somebody signs up for that private lesson and uses the pool as a facility, the system will block off all 3 lanes, as the pool is the parent facility of the 3 lanes, which are the children's facility. Another way to look at it is this is how it will appear within Amilia. So as you can see, the parent facilities are in green, the purple ones are parent and child facilities, and the yellow ones are child facilities. So this is how it looks in Amilia. And another way to depict the situation, there's the Memram Cook Arena at the top, which is the parent facility that has everything inside of it. So for example, if the Memram Cook Arena was a eligible facility for your private lesson, if somebody were to book it, it would book main rink locker room 1, main rink locker room 2, and so on and so forth. Now, how does it look in your store? On the back end, you will see it will appear under the activities tab. It will have its own sub tab, which is private lessons over here. And on the front end, from a client's perspective, a new tab that says private lessons will appear. So it will not appear under the register tab or activities tab that you usually have by default with your activities. It will have its own separate tab that you can rename if you want. Setting up private lessons in Amilia. Let's go over how to make one. So first off, what you want to do is go into the activities tab, private lessons, click on new private lessons. You can enter a name, a description, in this case, private lesson 1. Then you will have to choose a category that best describes the lesson. In this case, we're going to give a swimming private lesson, so sports and fitness. And as you can see, swimming is not available. So you can search at the top on the search bar, swimming, it will appear, and you can select it. Now here's where you can select who can teach this private lesson, whether it's a coach, a teacher, whoever can give this private lesson. You can enter them there. And where can this private lesson be taught? So this is where you can link the facilities. Notice that in the dropdown, you can see this little emblem here. So this means that indoor play structure is a child facility of Jackson Recreational Center. So if Jackson Recreational Center is selected as a place where this private lesson can be taught, if somebody registers for that private lesson and selects Jackson Recreation Center as the location, then the indoor play structure and the Studio 3 will both be reserved for that private lesson. So you can select Duncan Pool, whichever facilities where this private lesson can be taught. Next up, you can associate some tags to facilitate navigation on the client end, decide if it's visible or hidden. And in additional settings, you can link some forms for adults, for children. Then you will have the opportunity to add a buffer before booking, which this is if you need some time to prepare some equipment for the private lesson, for example. Same thing after, if you need a buffer of 10 minutes to put everything away. How much notice is needed before a booking? So how much notice does the coach or the teacher need to before a booking to plan the private lesson? And how far in advance can a participant book? So if you want nobody registering 2 weeks in advance, only a week in advance, that is where you can select that. Next up, you can put the duration of the private lesson. In this case, it'll be 45 minutes. Next to it, you can enter the price, $50. Then you can select the appropriate ledger code, select the applicable taxes if they are included or not, then the accepted payment methods. And once all that is done, you can hit save. And what that does is it takes the availability of the staff that you associated, the availability of the facilities that you associated, and it's taking the mutual availabilities to offer private lessons to all of your clients. So you can really maximize all of the resources that are available to your organization. Next, let's look at how it looks like in the store. So if we go to the store tab, then under private lessons, you will see all of your private lessons listed. We'll go into private lessons 1, this is the one we've created. You can select the 45-minute time slot. You will be asked if you have a preference, if you have a preference in coach, or if you don't have a preference. Same thing for the facility. Afterwards, you'll see in the calendar, every day with a little green dot underneath means that there are available time slots that day. So you can select the day that best suits your schedule, and then select the time slot underneath from all the available time slots. Once you click on it, you will then be able to choose a participant to register for that private lesson. And once they are chosen, you can then click on Book Now, and you will be able to continue shopping or proceed to checkout and complete the payment. How is everybody kept notified during this process? So you might have a lot of private lessons as a coach. Well, luckily, every time a participant registers, both the participants and the staff receive an email and a calendar invitation so they can keep everything organized in their calendar. Staff can view their schedules in the Amilia app with all the updated activities and private lessons. The facility calendars are automatically updated under the Facilities tab, and staff schedules update automatically in the Staff Management and Schedule subtab, so you can see all of the schedules of your staff. Now let's go over a few frequently asked questions. One we get a lot is how to avoid double bookings. Now, if you enter everything in Amilia, it will know all the availabilities, of your facilities and your staff. It will know when somebody is occupied or not. And what I mean by this is if John is giving this class, which is a camp, for example, and it's going on for the whole week, what you can do is associate John to this activity by clicking in the click here to modify occurrences, and then you can enter him as a staff member. And that's basically telling the system that John is blocked off during that time frame. And what happens if John is not entered in as a staff member for this activity? That means that the system thinks that he is available. So he might have availabilities during that time for private lessons, and if somebody books him, he actually is not available and he would be double booked. Same thing goes for facilities. Studio 3 in this example, because it is linked, the system knows that it is blocked off for that period of time and it will not be available for booking through private lessons. Next up, how can I discount my private lessons? So discounts cannot be applied directly onto private lessons. However, you can configure multi-passes that can be made eligible for private lessons, and you can discount that multi-pass. So that is the way to discount a private lesson. Next, can I block off days for holidays? Yes, you can. If you go under the Account tab, Calendar, click on Operations and New, you can add a holiday, and that day will be blocked off and nobody will be able to book a private lesson with your organization. And lastly, my availabilities aren't appearing as I intended them to. What did I do wrong? So you might have configured the whole thing, but it's not showing up as you anticipated. What happened? So it can be a multitude of things. So we've created a troubleshooting checklist. So the 3 key things that you want to look at are your staff, facilities, and private lessons. So if you're looking at your staff, you want to make sure that your staff availabilities are properly configured. Sometimes you can just go over it or miss something. You want to make sure that the staff is not busy with another activity, so they're not linked to another activity in your organization that would make them unavailable for that time slot. For facilities, same thing. Make sure that your facility hours are properly configured, and also that the facility is not being used for another activity in your organization. As for the private lesson, you want to make sure that the correct staff and correct facility are correctly linked to that private lesson. And for facilities, it might be a bit trickier with the whole parent versus child, the parent versus child facility concept that I explained earlier, because you might have thought that, for example, a pool, you might have linked the pool as an eligible facility when it should have been the lanes inside. So little things like that you really have to double check. And lastly, your buffer times might not show up as you anticipated. So if you put a buffer time 5 minutes before and a buffer time 5 minutes after, it'll actually result in 10 minutes in between each time slot, because you need that buffer time after and before the other one. So little things like that to keep in mind that you can go over and review to make sure that the private lessons are configured as you would like them to be. So thank you guys very much. That is what we had for you today. The webinar roundup will be sent to you guys via email in the next few days with the recording of this webinar and a few links from our knowledge base. If ever you want to go to our knowledge base for whatever reason, if you're looking for the article on how to properly set up private lessons, you can go to the Home tab and click on the knowledge base. If even after that, or for whatever reason, you still have any questions, feel free to hop on chat and a customer care specialist will help you out. You can click on this and send us a message. We will gladly answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Have a great day. See you guys.